Do you ever get that strange feeling, like you're wrestling with some kind of pull towards something you really should have outgrown years ago?
Hmm.
Maybe like a sudden urge to, I don't know, throw a huge tantrum over something tiny, or maybe wanting to rebel against a perfectly fair rule.
Absolutely. It's almost like a ghost memory, isn't it? From a childhood phase, it just
Hmm.
pops up decades later. And it demands attention usually when it's least convenient.
Right. And that feeling, that sense that something's not quite finished emotionally, it points to something really fundamental about how we're wired, psychologically speaking.
Exactly. We seem to be built, designed almost, to move through these very specific non-negotiable stages as we grow up: infancy, childhood, adolescence. They all have their tasks.
Okay, so here's the core idea we're really diving into today. If, for whatever reason, and there can be many, we skip over one of those really vital stages or don't quite complete it,
Then a part of us, deep down, stays stuck there.
precisely, it spends years, maybe decades, just craving a chance to go back and finish that specific piece of emotional business, even if that stage belongs to, say, a 2-year-old, and we're now 50.
Wow. So our mission today in this deep dive is really to unpack those crucial stages, right? The ones that sometimes get missed.
Yes, and to understand how that missing piece, that delayed development, can actually sometimes quite violently disrupt an otherwise okay adult life.
And maybe most importantly, what can we actually do about it? How can we sort of honor those old deficits now before they demand some kind of destructive payment later on?
Okay, let's start right at the beginning, the foundations. Those essential stages in early childhood that just have to be completed. And we're not just talking physical milestones here.
No, not at all. This is about securing crucial emotional permissions almost, or like you said earlier, licenses.
Licenses, I like that.
Yeah. And the critical thing is these stages don't just, happen on their own. They absolutely depend on having what psychologists sometimes call a good enough facilitating environment.
Okay, good enough facilitating environment. That sounds a bit jargony. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's actually simpler than it sounds.
Mm.
It doesn't mean perfect parents or a perfect childhood. Not at all. It just means the caregivers need to be, well, available enough, stable enough, able to tolerate the sheer messiness and, frankly, the difficulty of a child just developing.
Okay, so if that environment is really stressed, maybe there's a serious illness or money worries, constant arguments, divorce, maybe a parent struggling with depression.
Then the child might sort of unconsciously feel obliged to grow up too fast.
Yeah.
They jump ahead to this kind of pseudo-maturity.
A premature maturity. And that leapfrogging creates the gap, the missing stage.
Yeah, exactly. And the very first license, the absolute bedrock, is what we could call the adored stage.
The adored stage.
Simple, but incredibly profound. It's that feeling of being deeply accepted, approved of, loved, just for existing. You've done nothing to earn it. You're celebrated just because you're here, you're tiny, you're vulnerable, maybe you have a cute nose, whatever. It's unconditional.
Wow. And if you miss that, what happens in adult life?
Oh, the fallout can be huge and exhausting. You might see chronic perfectionism, for example. Someone who just can't rest, always chasing the next achievement, the next bit of external validation, just to feel okay, just to feel worthy.
Because deep down, they don't believe they have the right to just be.
Yeah.
Without constantly performing.
Precisely. That core feeling of I am enough, just as I am, is missing.
Okay, so that unconditional acceptance, that's the foundation. What comes next?
That allows for the next vital stage, the irresponsible stage.
Irresponsible. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. Or dangerous.
Both, maybe. It's the permission, the license to explore the world with this totally freewheeling curiosity, without facing serious consequences or heavy burdens for every little thing.
So making a huge mess, asking the same question 100 times, dropping spoons just to see them fall, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Making a racket, experimenting, pushing boundaries in small ways, testing gravity, testing patience.
And if you skipped that stage, if you were always the little adult,
Then as an adult, you might struggle with chronic burnout. You might have this deep inability to truly relax, to play, maybe a pathological fear of messiness or a real hesitancy around any kind of creative risk-taking.
because play feels frivolous or even unsafe.
Yeah, the inner self just rejects it. It wasn't allowed that freedom, so it doesn't know how to access it now.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the third license?
This one can be tricky for adults to get their heads around. The naughty stage.
The naughty stage, right. Go on.
This is the crucial permission to provoke, to actually be a bit mean sometimes or jealous or unkind, to deliberately test the rules, push back, And crucially, still be forgiven.
Still be forgiven, even when you're being deliberately difficult.
Yes. It's about experimenting with aggression, with opposition, with negative feelings, without getting labeled fundamentally bad or evil for it. You test the limits of love and tolerance.
Hang on, so you're saying we actually need to go through a phase of being naughty before we can learn to be genuinely good? That feels really counterintuitive. We usually try to stop naughtiness, right?
We do often try to stop it, but yes, the sequencing seems vital. If you bypass experiencing and experimenting with your own naughtiness, you also bypass confronting your own capacity for, well, darkness. And you don't learn the resilience of your caregiver's forgiveness.
So what happens to the adult who skipped it?
They can become quite brittle emotionally. Every small mistake, every minor transgression, a parking ticket, breaking something by accident, a moment of selfishness, it gets blown up into this huge moral crisis.
Because they never learned internally that doing something bad doesn't make them fundamentally bad. They didn't secure that knowledge that you can mess up and still be loved, still be okay.
Exactly that. It's securing the emotional knowledge of repair, of forgiveness, of surviving imperfection.
Wow. Okay, so only after you've navigated being adored, irresponsible, and naughty, then comes what?
Then comes the manner stage. This is where we learn about the importance of being good in the social sense, making others happy, fitting in, following social rules, being polite.
But it has to come after the naughty stage.
Critically, yes. If you become, let's say, so-called kind or well-mannered before you've had a proper go at being naughty, that kindness is built on shaky ground.
Emotional sand, like you said earlier.
Right. It risks feeling like compliance, like something you have to do to survive, rather than a genuine, robust emotional choice you make from a place of strength, having integrated all parts of yourself.
This is fascinating. Okay, so that covers early childhood. What about the next wave? Adolescence?
Ah, yes, adolescence.
Mm-hmm.
It brings a whole new set of critical stages, doesn't it? And these often require parents who can tolerate a pretty significant degree of, well, stroppiness and fury, frankly.
Stroppiness and fury. I think many parents would recognize that.
Absolutely. And when these adolescent licenses get missed, the adult pattern is often skipping commitment before they've really figured out desire or who they even are.
So what's the first adolescent stage?
The big one, the rebellious stage. This isn't just mild cheekiness. It's that deep, necessary urge to properly push back, to shout at your parents, maybe even declare dramatically, "I never asked to be born."
Okay, the teenage classics.
Yes. Questioning every authority figure in sight, trying on weird identities, strange clothes, experimenting with being, well, very strange indeed, as the source material puts it. It's about tearing down the old structures to make space for your own.
But isn't some rebellion just pointlessly destructive? How do we tell the difference between that necessary separation and just, chaos?
That's a great question. The necessary rebellion is fundamentally about testing boundaries, finding out where your end and your parents' or society's expectations begin. It's about differentiation.
And if you miss that, if you were the perfectly good teenager, always compliant,
Then as an adult, you might find it incredibly difficult to challenge authority, even when it's clearly wrong. A bad boss, maybe an unhealthy relationship dynamic, or even just challenging your own internal self-criticism.
you stay kind of tethered to invisible rules from childhood.
Exactly. You haven't practiced pushing back safely, so it feels terrifying or impossible as an adult.
Okay, so after rebellion comes.
Usually, the sexually exploratory stage. And this isn't purely about the physical act. It's giving yourself permission, the license, to explore your burgeoning sexuality, to find out who you are attracted to, what you desire, what you want or don't want in intimacy.
A period of self-discovery, separate from the pressure of settling down immediately.
Crucially separate, yes. The danger here, again, is timing. If you jump into being responsible and committed before you've had a chance to do that exploration.
The commitment might feel like a trap later on.
It certainly risks feeling like a cage, yes.
Yeah.
You might find yourself in a long-term relationship feeling like you never really got to figure yourself out first, sexually, or in terms of your broader identity.
Right. Which leads us, I suppose, to the final stages that define moving into adulthood.
Yes, the concluding pair. First, the responsible stage. This is about finding a direction, a vocation maybe, submitting to the demands of study or work, accepting the necessary limits and routines that come with employment or a career path.
Showing up, basically. Taking on adult duties.
Pretty much. And only then, ideally, comes the emotionally committed stage.
So after rebellion, exploration, and responsibility, then commitment.
Yes, this is where we, hopefully, willingly, choose to exchange some of the freedoms and pleasures of broad exploration for the different, deeper, more complex pleasures of a committed union with another person.
But if that sequence gets messed up, if you were pushed into responsibility too early or commitment before you were ready.
The missed stage doesn't just evaporate. It waits. It hangs around in the background, sort of accruing emotional interest, you could say.
Okay, and this is where it gets really, really interesting, isn't it? Because that missing stage, even if it's invisible for years while you build a seemingly stable adult life, the job, the house, the family.
It doesn't stay invisible forever.
Mm.
Eventually, and sometimes quite suddenly and violently, it forces itself back into your awareness. It demands to be heard.
Like emotional homework that you never handed in, and now the deadline is looming. Lord.
That's a great way to put it. There's a powerful psychological idea here. No stage that's been genuinely missed out will ever just quietly leave us alone. Not until it's been somehow registered, acknowledged, maybe sampled, and emotionally processed or exhausted.
And trying to just ignore it or suppress it through sheer willpower.
It doesn't work long term. That suppression, that denial, it eventually buckles. It can torment our minds, even our bodies, until we finally recognize the deficit. It's like finding a major structural flaw in the foundations of the house you've lived in for 20 years.
And we see this play out sometimes in really dramatic ways, don't we? Those case studies you mentioned are quite vivid.
They really are. Think about that example of the otherwise highly responsible lawyer. 42 years old, partner in the firm, family, kids.
Seemingly has it all together.
Totally. And then suddenly, boom, leaves everything to join a commune in the desert. Or make some completely out-of-character, bizarre mistake at work that gets them fired.
What's happening there? Is that the irresponsible stage finally bursting out? Or the rebellious stage?
Could be either, or a mix. It's that delayed eruption. The part of them that never got its turn is suddenly grabbing the steering wheel, often with disastrous consequences for the life they've built.
Wow. Or what about the example of the octogenarian, divorcing their spouse after 60 years?
Yeah, realizing so late in life that they were never just held, allowed to simply be without demands or expectations, back when they were tiny.
That's a late, incredibly painful return to claim the debt from the misadored stage.
It really is. Disruptive doesn't even begin to cover it at that point.
And the 67-year-old who suddenly starts drinking heavily, shouting in the garden at night.
Venting all this pent-up aggression and wild energy that was completely forbidden in their childhood home.
That's the naughty stage, making a very late, very messy comeback.
Exactly. It really makes you think about that common joke, doesn't it? Oh, I wish I could just go back and be a baby for an afternoon.
Yeah, we say it lightly, but...
But it's actually quite telling, isn't it? It reveals that part of us that genuinely aches, even now, to sample what we never had enough of back when it was safest and most appropriate.
Okay, so if someone listening recognizes this pattern, either in themselves or maybe someone they care about, what's the way forward? You can't just, become a toddler again.
No, definitely not. The first, most crucial step is recognition. Honestly identifying what specific license was denied or missed. Was it the freedom to be adored unconditionally, the permission to be irresponsible, the space to be safely naughty, the right to rebel?
Getting really clear on the specific deficit.
Yes. And once you have that clarity, the second step, and this is delicate, is to find the least dangerous and most effective way to consciously sample that missing stage now.
Sampling it. How?
Carefully. And in a way that tries really hard not to completely wreck the good things you've built in your adult life. It's about integration, not demolition.
Okay, give me an example. Say you miss the irresponsible stage. You can't just quit your job and finger paint all day.
Right. But maybe you could consciously designate a specific time or even a physical space, like a corner of a room, a shed, whatever, where you are explicitly allowed to make a huge consequence-free mess. Experiment, play, be inefficient without judgment.
Okay. Or if you miss the naughty stage, you can't start being genuinely mean to people.
No. But maybe you could engage in some safe, contained verbal sparring with a therapist or a really crusted friend who gets it, or find a healthy physical outlet for the contained aggression, like intense sport, martial arts, even just shouting into a pillow.
So it's about giving that inner toddler or rebel a controlled, safe outlet. An hour a week, maybe, instead of letting them hijack your whole life.
Precisely. Allocate a safe container for it rather than letting it run rampant and potentially destroy things.
But let's be honest, the practical side of this necessary regression, it sounds really difficult.
Oh, it is. It's messy.
I mean, imagine trying to explain to your partner of 20 years, look, I need to explore my Miss Naughty stage a bit, but don't worry. Or, I need you to adore me unconditionally for an hour every Tuesday.
It's incredibly challenging for everyone involved. It requires immense honesty, vulnerability, and often support from others who can try to understand what's happening. It won't be easy to witness or navigate.
Which really brings home the warning inherent in all this, doesn't it?
It really does. The ultimate message is we should never, ever be rushed into maturity.
So when we hear someone describe a child, or maybe a teenager, as being so old for their years or already so grown up,
Instead of just admiring it, maybe we should pause. We should worry a little. And if that was us, maybe we should mourn that lost time, that skip stage.
I mean, it's like psychological capital that we desperately needed to bank back then, and we'll feel the deficit later.
Exactly. That lost time represents experiences and emotional licenses that were essential for building a truly resilient adult self.
It makes you think, doesn't it, if you connect this to the bigger picture? Imagine how much calmer, maybe saner, the world might be.
If all those outwardly adult people walking around who are maybe inwardly still bawling, unhappy babies or furious unheard toddlers,
If they'd actually been given the proper chance, the safe space, to be who they needed to be right when they needed to be it, when it was safest and easiest.
it's a profound thought, which leads to a really important question for you listening right now.
Yeah.
Reflect for a moment. Which essential license do you think your own childhood environment might have denied you or curtailed too early? Was it the license to be fully, uncomplicatedly adored? Was it the permission to be irresponsible and messy? Or maybe the license to be difficult, strange, rebellious?
And taking that a step further, if that repressed younger part of you, the one representing that unfinished stage, were suddenly given total control of your life for just 24 hours.
What would they force you to experience? What unfinished business would they demand you attend to right now?
And crucially, how disruptive would that necessary, albeit delayed experience be to the stable life you've worked so hard to build? Confronting that possibility, perhaps. Maybe that's a true measure of maturity.